All right, so today we're going to deconstruct a god. We're diving deep into one of the most important comics ever written, Alan Moore's Miracleman. And look, this isn't just a story about some hero coming back. It's about completely tearing down the idea of the superhero, just to build something way more terrifying and way more profound.
This slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got that clean, simple dream of a 1950s superhero. You know, good versus evil, easy stuff. On the other side, you get the dark, psychological nightmare that Alan Moore cooked up in 1982, and the journey from that dream to this reality. That's what we're going to explore.
So, to really understand how Moore just shatters the myth, we first have to see what the myth was. It all starts with a dream of flying, a perfect, sunny memory from a much, much simpler time. What's so brilliant here is that Moore starts his whole dark saga with a genuine classic adventure from the 50s. He even used the original creator's plot. But, and this is the key, he subtly changed the dialogue, planting these little seeds for the absolutely terrifying future he was about to unleash. This is basically the last moment of innocence before reality comes crashing in.
And now, we watch that dream just completely shatter. The nightmare is back, because the man who remembers flying isn't a hero anymore. He's just a man. So, we meet Michael Moran. He's a freelance journalist, and he's haunted by these awful headaches and nightmares that he just can't explain. All he has are these little fragments of a memory, a final super traumatic mission back in 1963. Turns out, that mission was actually a deliberate ambush designed to wipe him and his entire superpowered family out for good.
And then we get the moment that changes absolutely everything. He's caught up in this terrorist takeover of a power plant, and a totally desperate Michael Moran sees a word reflected in a glass door. Atomic, spelled backwards. Kimota. For the first time in almost 20 years, he says the word. This quote right here just perfectly illustrates the shift in tone. The first person to witness his return isn't some grateful citizen. It's a terrorist. And he doesn't shout about a superhero saving the day. He quotes the battle hymn of the Republic, like he's witnessing a divine, almost religious event. This isn't the return of a man. This is the second coming of a god. So what happens when a god comes back to Earth and finds out he's not alone? Well, he goes looking for his old friends. Or, as it turns out, his old enemies.
Miracleman decides to track down his old sidekick, Johnny Bates, who used to be Kid Miracleman. And he finds out that not only did Bates survive that explosion in '63, but because he doesn't have a trigger word to change him back, he's been stuck in his super body for 18 years. And he's used that godlike power to build this huge, corrupt corporate empire.
Their inevitable fight isn't framed like a comic book punch-up. It's described as a mythological war between titans. As you can see, a thunderstorm literally rolls in to mark their battle. And Kid Miracleman is described with this primal, almost tiger-like ferocity. He's stronger. He's had more practice, but his own massive ego becomes his downfall when he accidentally says his magic word and reverts back to just a terrified little boy.
And this really gets to the heart of what Moore is doing here. He's deconstructing the superhero. He's asking a really simple but terrifying question. What would actually happen if these beings existed in our world? The answer? Irrevocable apocalyptic change. Society as we know it would just be over.
Okay, so if Miracleman isn't some magical hero who got his powers from a friendly scientist, then what is he? This is where the story pivots from being a dark superhero story into a full-blown conspiracy thriller.
Miracleman's return, well, it doesn't exactly go unnoticed. It puts him right back on the radar of the very powerful people who tried to kill him in the first place. And as he starts digging into his own past, he uncovers a shocking truth. His entire memory, his charming little origin story, was a complete and total lie.
The truth is, there was no magic word, no kindly old scientist. There was only Project Zarathustra, a top-secret British military program. So Miracleman's origin isn't mystical or heroic at all. It's the product of cold, amoral science that reverse-engineered a crashed alien spaceship. And the project's name is the ultimate clue. It's a direct reference to the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche and his idea of the Übermensch, or the Superman. This whole idea that humanity is just a bridge, something that needs to be overcome and surpassed. Yeah, this isn't just a comic book anymore. It's a philosophical argument on a collision course with reality. This horrifying truth doesn't just redefine the hero, it redefines humanity itself. Because if man is something to be surpassed, we have to look at the science of how it was done. And let me tell you, it's a process that's as brilliant as it is disturbing.
So this slide breaks down the whole Zarathustra method. Using alien tech, the project grew a superhuman clone body. Now this body is stored in this pocket dimension they call infraspace. When the human host, Michael Moran, says his trigger word, his consciousness gets transferred, and the two bodies literally swap places. And here's the truly mind-bending part. Michael Moran and Miracleman are two completely separate beings. Moran is the conscious mind. He's the actual person. Miracleman, he's just a powerful, empty vessel, a weapon, basically, just waiting to be activated. He's not a transformed man. He is a replacement.
The climax really hits when Miracleman learns the truth about his creator, this monstrous scientist named Gargunza, discovering that his quote-unquote father was a fraud and that his entire life was a lie. Well, that's the final revelation. It cuts his last ties to his fabricated human origins and empowers him to become something much, much more.
And this leaves us with the story's ultimate, most provocative question. If man is something to be surpassed, what comes next? See, Miracleman isn't a man playing God. He is a God created by man. And now that he's awake, now that he understands his true nature, the age of humanity might just be over. The dream of flying is dead. A new, terrifying reality has just begun.